Hey guys, quick product rundown on the Trinity DMS Delrin spacers I picked up from Dan a couple months ago. We're going to be pairing that today with my airlift suspension that will be going on this Passat back here. This is a 2002 4MO, applicable to all 4MOs and also applicable to the Audi C5 A6 chassis. Nothing more than utilizing the same mounting holes that you already have. Sleeved, longer hardware. That's 8mm by 1.25 coarse thread. Can't get more basic than that. You're gonna find that if you're putting bags on a 4MO like me, it's a lot different than the front wheel drive application. The volume of this bag is about half the volume of a front wheel drive rear bag. Doesn't matter if it's single or double bellow. So when you're talking about volume here and going from 45 psi to 90 psi, once installed on the car, you're going to see maybe quarter to a half-inch lift. If you're like me and you like to ride around town high or go up into the mountains to do some snowboarding or something, you're definitely going to want to retain that lift as well as have that ability to go low or drop it to the ground. So Dan's application here is going to help you retain that functionality, and it will definitely help you keep that low as well. So I can attest to that. I had them already installed on the car, but lately I've been working with Airlift to modify these guys a little bit. If you have questions about that too, you can always reach out to me, but we did some internal dampening on these because I wasn't really happy with what I received a couple months ago. Airlift was super awesome and helped me out with that. So now we're going to go ahead and reinstall everything and throw these guys back on. I'll drop the links to Dan's website here in the description, and then you should definitely check him out because he can really help you guys out if you're in need like me. So there's really no prep work involved before using these top strut mount spacers. The one thing I did do, as you can see, is chased each strut mount with an 8mm by 1.25 coarse thread to make sure there'd be a clear path for the longer bolt we'd be using for the strut mount spacer. The OEM bolt is tapered at the top, and the one that was provided by Trinity DMS isn't, so I just wanted to make sure I'd have a clear path when those were traveling all the way through. The other thing I did do was just trim back the splash guard over here just to give myself some breathing room. Not necessary, but that's me. For those of you not familiar with the Passat 4MOTION or Audi C5 A6 rear suspension, just a few bolts we need to remove for this install to happen. Not in any particular order, but you're going to have two 13 mils. It's going to be a nut and a bolt back here for the rear sway bar. You're going to have an 18 mil right here, both nut and bolt. That's going to be for the control arm over here. Same thing up top for the wishbone. And then you're also going to have the lower strut mount bolt over here. That's going to be an 18 mil nut and bolt as well. And then also the two up here. They're 13 mil on the OEM, and then I believe it goes to a 12 mil. Don't quote me on that, for the supplied bolts from Trinity DMS. So I've got the bottom strut mount bolt in. Now I'm going to do the two top strut mount 12mm bolts. I'm going to get everything loosely in place first, and then I'll go ahead and tighten everything down. I'm also going to do the control arm over here, and then I'll also do the sway bar back here, the 13mm, and then I'll cycle back through and tighten everything else up. So once you get your spacer on there, it's as simple as just pushing it into place. It looks like it lines up pretty dang easily. I've got a jack underneath the bottom strut, so all I'm going to do is jack that up a little bit and get it right into place. And you can kind of see what I mentioned earlier, a little more clearance after cutting out that archway right here. It's not necessary, it's flexible, you can push it back. But I've got heat guns and plastic welders, so I just took a little chunk out so that way the top thread wouldn't run into it. And without torquing these down, you can see that it's really nice clean fitment in there. Complements that strut bag assembly really nicely. You can kind of see the depth, the width on that guy there. I've really enjoyed having these on the car so far. I'll add some video at the end, or some pictures rather, of the car at full extension and then also all the way down. Right now I've got about 40 threads still available to go down even lower on these airlift bags. It's really not necessary. I can tell you that I'm gonna hit tire already on these guys. Alright, I've got everything nice and snug here. Looks beautiful, feels beautiful. I'm going to show you the reason I needed to reach out to Dan in the first place for these. This vision window here. You must be able to see threading through that window, otherwise you've exceeded the limit, and then your surface area between the two is so minimal, it's just going to be a matter of time before things snap off. And without being able to back out my threading any farther, I was running out of room, running out of lift really, to achieve that 1-inch wheel gap that I wanted when I'm going to the mountains. And that's where Dan came into play. He hooked it up with these guys. I think he's got the 2.75-inch spacers as well. These have done the trick for me so far, but I think I'm going to invest into some larger ones for the winter time as well. Wanted to give some other quick pointers for anybody that's also doing an air ride install. One, you want to make sure that you're always installing the leader line on the back side of the assembly that's facing towards the diff back here. Another is you want to take 1/2-inch heater hose, splice it down the middle, wrap it around, put a zip tie on each end. That way you can secure that from any abrasion you're going to have on that lower wishbone. And then the next thing you want to maybe take into consideration is also the routing I took on my leader line. It follows the e-brake. That way I know the factory geometry isn't going to mess with that at all, and that the flex there is going to be so minimal that it's not going to make a difference to the attachment. From there, it circles around the chassis, goes back over so it doesn't have anything close to the axle here, and then I have it running back into the trunk, back to the air manifold. The airlift suspension design has a great capability to go lower than physically possible by the car. With the added suspension lift spacers, I'm now able to hold on to the low capabilities, but can now achieve much taller ride heights. Thanks for checking out this video. Also, don't forget to check out www.trinitydms.com, as well as their Instagram at Trinity_DMS for other awesome applications.